My girlfriend thought my parents were swingers, she was right, and now I can't unknow what I've learned about my family's prom night secrets. My GF is South African. Her native language is Afrikaans. I've been learning how to speak Afrikaans without my GF knowing. I secretly applied for online courses that I've been using on and off for more than a year now. My plan was to surprise my GF and her family with my American Afrikaans when I finally meet her parents in person for the first time later this year. I never intended to eavesdrop or anything, but learning Afrikaans in secret accidentally exposed me to sensitive information that my GF was sharing on the phone with her Afrikaans-speaking friends from South Africa. It was gossip I was not supposed to understand, but eventually I did. This is what I've heard in the past few months. My GF is planning to surprise me on my birthday by reuniting with her high school metal band and putting on a show for me. My GF wants to tattoo the names of literally all the Harry Potter spells on her back, but she doesn't know how to tell me because she's afraid I'll talk her out of it. My GF casually mentioned that one of the unexpected differences between her glasses and her contact lenses is that when she's on her knees looking up at me with her glasses on, my penis looks much bigger compared to what it looks like through her contact lenses, which is why she's keeping her glasses on during sex. Ouch. My GF is convinced that my parents are swingers, because apparently there are always attractive couples hanging out at my mom and dad's house whenever we visit. My GF secretly finished the entire series of Better Call Saul without me, even though we agreed to finish it together, so now she's pretending to have no idea how the show ends. My GF is thinking about canceling the high school metal band reunion for my birthday because she's no longer sure if it's appropriate to team up with two of her exes that are original members of the band. My GF expects her dad not to like me. I would have preferred not knowing most of those things to be honest, but there is no way for me to unlearn Afrikaans, so now I'm cursed with knowing too much while having to pretend I know nothing. Update 4 months later. I asked my GF to marry me in Afrikaans, and she said ja. I delivered my I wanna spend the rest of my life with you speech in Afrikaans, which surprised and impressed my GF, aka my fiancé. As soon as my GF became my fiancé, I casually mentioned that I've secretly been learning her native language and accidentally been eavesdropping on several phone call conversations she had with her Afrikaans-speaking friends about things I was not supposed to understand, like, for example, her feeling conflicted about reuniting with her original high school band members for my birthday because the band apparently included two of her exes, or the fact that she wanted to tattoo literally all the Harry Potter spells on her back, or that she finished Better Call Saul without me, or that she thought my mom and dad were swingers, or the real reason why her glasses were always on during sex, or that she's convinced that her dad would hate me, or some of the stuff she said to her friends after my original post, like how she was struggling to get used to my braces because the braces in my mouth plus the freckles on my face somehow made me look underaged and low-key made her feel like she's my older sister when we were out in public. My fiancé was embarrassed when she realized how much Afrikaans I was able to understand and apologized if she made me feel uncomfortable. I accepted her apology, even though it was unnecessary, well, except for finishing Better Call Saul behind my back. That was a playing with fire moment in our relationship, almost unforgivable. My fiancé got one of the Harry Potter spells on her back, Erecto Patronum. I'm kidding, I stole that from another story. My fiancé is still considering getting her back tattooed. I said it was her choice, but I advised her to avoid covering her entire back with Harry Potter spells like she's some kind of Death Eater Michael Scofield. My fiancé might be right about her dad not liking me because his expression of disappointment and dread when he heard the news of our engagement was priceless. That said, I'll win him over though, even if it kills him. Jokes. My fiancé fully believes my parents are swingers based on the different couples she's occasionally observed coming and going whenever we visited my mom and dad. She wants us to investigate my parents because for some reason it's fun for her to imagine me being the son of a mom and dad whose sex life is far more kinky than mine. I'm not interested in opening that door though, because I don't want to know what goes on in my mom and dad's bedroom. However, something tells me that my fiancé will not rest until she has all the answers. I made it clear to my fiancé that I had no problem with her reuniting with her high school band to perform at my birthday, unless it was uncomfortable for her that her exes were part of the band. My fiancé ultimately decided to cancel the band because of behind-the-scenes drama. The drummer, who was one of the exes, apparently gained a lot of weight after high school and lost all confidence to perform in the band. The lead guitarist, aka the other ex, was only willing to participate if my fiancé agreed to play covers of gospel songs since he was now saved and no longer interested in playing the devil's music. The bass guitarist wanted money. My fiancé still wears her glasses during sex. Edit, to all the comments saying this is a repost, it's not. It's an update of my original post from a few months ago. Check my history. It's my story. Update, 17 months later. Last time I was here, I shared an update related to my original post, but I deleted that update because I was keen to tell the internet, aka all of you, that my GF and I got engaged. However, since then, we've not only gotten ourselves unengaged, we've actually broken up. In my original post, my ex-GF, who was still my GF back then, had a wild theory that my mom and dad were swingers just because they always had people at their house. I never believed it, but I thought it was hilarious that someone thought my parents were that interesting. Not gonna lie, I struggled to move on after my relationship ended. My apartment had too many memories of my ex, so I called my parents to ask if I could stay with them for a bit, just to clear my head. My parents said yes. My dad offered to pick me up, which I accepted. What should have been a 10-minute drive unexpectedly turned into a 45-minute drive because my dad decided to take the longer route back to his house. When my dad was done making dad jokes to help me get over my breakup, he started doing that weird dad thing where he's trying to bring up an awkward topic, but it's too uncomfortable for him to just spit it out, so he ends up saying a bunch of words that only he understands. I was forced to interrupt my dad and basically beg him to make sense. My dad said since it was unclear how long I was gonna stay, he felt compelled to prepare me for what I might see at the house. If my ex was present at that moment, she would have punched me on my shoulder and said I fucking told you. Because my dad confirmed her swinger theory, which no longer made it a theory, but the truth, or as I like to call it, trauma. By the time my dad and I finally made it to our destination, my dad made sure I knew everything I needed to know. I made a list based on what I learned from my dad. Both my parents were swingers when they met. Swinging was not something my parents wanted to do while raising kids, so swinging was prohibited when my parents became parents. To see if they still got it, my parents switched back to swinging when they had the house to themselves again, and lo and behold, they still got it. Hosting swinger parties was something my parents did frequently, usually with themes. My parents were planning to host another swinger party, but my mom was leaning towards calling it off so that I could come home and stay for as long as I wanted. If my parents were forced to cancel, it would be the first swinger party they called off since COVID. The theme was prom night. I never expected my dad to go that hard in the too much information category, but as soon as he crossed that threshold, he got it all out of his system. I stayed with my parents for a total of 2 days before it became abundantly clear to me that knowledge might be power for some people, but for me, knowledge was fucking punishment. My mom, who was unaware that I low-key knew she was swinger mom, attempted to convince me to stay longer, and she almost succeeded, but I was done with my dad using our father-son bonding time to play guess which one of our neighbors are also swingers. I used an Uber to get back to my apartment. No more dad rides. I've never been so happy to return to a place that was haunted by my failed relationship.